From a flicker of candlelight in 1789 to the glare of modern screens in the West Wing, every president has held the pen. Executive orders not passed by Congress, but etched into law by command. Some shaped history. Some sparked controversy. Others were forgotten. Until now. This is where we break them down. Every signature, every shift in power, every consequence still felt today. From Washington to Biden, welcome to Executive Order Watch.
Democracy, we live for it. For democracy, we fight for it. For democracy, we've died for it. And for democracy, we watch it. This is Executive Order.
My fellow Americans, as I speak to you now, we find ourselves at the closing chapter of a remarkable journey. The year is 1960, and my final full year as your president is drawing to a close. It has been nearly 8 years since I took the oath of office, not as a politician, but as a soldier committed to peace. And 1960 reminded me once again that history does not pause. It presses forward with urgency and clarity. This was a year of change, challenge, and responsibility. At home, the struggle for civil rights intensified. Across the South, students sat at segregated lunch counters, refusing to move. Their quiet courage stirred the conscience of the nation. I had long believed that progress must come through the rule of law. But in 1960, the call for justice grew louder. I listened, and I governed with balance, sending support when federal protection was necessary, but also urging Congress to act where I could not. Abroad, the Cold War deepened. In May, the world watched as a U-2 reconnaissance plane fell from the skies over the Soviet Union. The mission was mine. I accepted responsibility. The summit with Premier Khrushchev collapsed. Trust shattered. But I remained firm. America would not retreat from its duty to defend freedom. Even as tensions rose, freedom itself was on the march. Across Africa, nation after nation broke the chains of colonial rule. 17 new flags were raised, each a symbol of hope and self-determination. I saw this as a turning point, and I knew that America must offer partnership, not paternalism. At the same time, science and technology surged forward. From Cape Canaveral to classrooms nationwide, we invested in the minds and machines of tomorrow. The launch of TIROS-1, our first weather satellite, showed what peaceful space exploration could look like. Our universities expanded, our engineers advanced, and I signed the orders to keep that momentum strong. Domestically, I remain committed to fiscal discipline and national infrastructure. I believe that sound government requires restraint, not extravagance, and preparation for the burdens that lie ahead. Politically, the torch was preparing to pass. I watched as two men, Vice President Nixon and Senator Kennedy, stood before the American people. Their debates, their differences, and their visions marked the beginning of a new era. But my duty was to govern until the very last day, and that is what I did. And so even in this final year, I continued to sign executive orders, not for applause, but for posterity. Some were routine, others reformative, but each one written with the same belief, that a government built on order, service, and constitutional principle would endure long beyond my presidency. We'll now turn to those executive orders. You'll see the structure, the foresight, the foundation, because while armies may win battles, policies win generations. And in 1960, I set my pen to paper for the last time as your president, not to rewrite America, but to reinforce it. Let us now examine those orders one by one. Executive Order 10,858, the President's Committee for Traffic Safety on January 13th, 1960. Executive Order 10,859, revocation of Executive Order 10,758, establishing a career executive program within the civil service system, and Executive Order 10,777, amending Executive Order 10,758 on February 5th, 1960. Executive Order 10,860, Coat of Arms, Seal, and Flag of the President of the United States on February 5, 1960. Executive Order 10,861, suspension of certain provisions of Section 5762 of Title 10 of the United States Code on February 11, 1960. Executive Order 10,862. Creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway Company, Coastlines, and certain of its employees on February 12, 1960. Executive Order 10,863, authorizing the Attorney General to seize arms and munitions of war on February 18, 1960. Executive Order 10,864, designating the Pan American Health Organization as a public international organization on February 18, 1960. Executive Order 10,865, safeguarding classified information within industry on February 20th, 1960. Executive Order 10,866, designating the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization as a public international organization on February 20, 1960. Executive Order 10,867, readiness of the United States District Court for the District of Alaska on February 20th, 1960. Executive Order 10,868, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the New York Central System and certain of its employees on February 29, 1960. Executive Order 10,869, amendment of Civil Service Rule 2 as prescribed by Executive Order number 10,577 of November 22, 1954 on March 9th, 1960, Executive Order 10,870, designating the facilities of the NASA at Huntsville, Alabama, as the George C. Marshall Space Flight Center on March 15, 1960. Executive Order 10,871, inspection of income, excess profits, estate, and gift tax returns by the House Committee on Public Works on March 15, 1960. Executive Order 10,872, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between Pan American World Airways, Inc., and certain of its employees on March 18, 1960. Executive Order 10,873, designating the Inter-American Development Bank as a public international organization on April 8, 1960. Executive Order 10,874, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the Long Island Railroad Company and certain of its employees on April 18, 1960. Executive Order 10,875, creating an emergency board to investigate disputes between the Akron and Barberton Railroad and other carriers and certain of their employees on April 22, 1960. Executive Order 10,876, amendment of Executive Order 10,855, authorizing the inspection of certain tax returns on April 22, 1960. Executive Order 10,877, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the Pennsylvania Railroad Company and certain of its employees on May 20, 1960. Executive Order 10,878, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the Chicago, Rock Island, and Pacific Railroad Company and other carriers on May 23, 1960. Executive Order 10,879, establishing the White House Service Certificate and the White House Service Badge on June 1, 1960. Executive Order 10,880, permitting certain employees to be given career or career conditional appointments on June 7, 1960. Executive Order 10,881, amendment of EO 10,810 on July 6, 1960. Executive Order 10,882, further amendment of Executive Order Number 10,289 on July 18, 1960. Executive Order 10,883, termination of the Air Coordinating Committee on August 11, 1960. Executive Order 10,884, amendment of Executive Order 10,560 on August 17, 1960. Executive Order 10,885, sale of vessels of the Navy on August 31, 1960. Executive Order 10,886, suspension of certain provisions relating to the number of officers in the grades of Admiral and Vice Admiral on September 6, 1960. Executive Order 10,887, designating the Department of Commerce to perform functions with respect to the century. 21 exposition on September 23, 1960. Executive Order 10,888, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between New York harbor carriers and their employees on September 28, 1960. Executive Order 10,889, amendment of Executive Order 10,530 on October 5, 1960. Executive Order 10,890, including certain lands in the Dixie National Forest and transferring certain lands to the Department of the Interior on October 27, 1960. Executive Order 10,891, establishing a commission to inquire into a controversy between certain carriers and their employees on November 1, 1960. Executive Order 10,892, amendment of Executive Order 10,152, relating to hazardous duty pay on November 8, 1960. Executive Order 10,893, administration of mutual security and related functions on November 8, 1960. Executive Order 10,894, establishing the President's Committee on Migratory Labor on November 15, 1960. Executive Order 10,895, extension of provisions for rotation of civilian defense employees assigned overseas on November 25, 1960. Executive Order 10,896, amendment of Executive Order Number 6,260 of August 28, 1933, on November 29, 1960, Executive Order 10,897, authorizing the Secretary of State to prescribe rules relating to Foreign Service retirement and disability on December 2, 1960, Executive Order 10,898, establishing the Interdepartmental Highway Safety Board on December 2, 1960, Executive Order 10,899, authorization for the communication of restricted data by the CIA on December 9, 1960. Executive Order 10,900, administration of the Agricultural Trade Development and Assistance Act of 1954, as amended on January 5, 1961. Executive Order 10,901, amendment of Executive Order 10,501, relating to safeguarding official information in the interests of the defense of the United States on January 9, 1961. Executive Order 10,902, providing for the issuance of emergency preparedness orders by the Director of the Office of Civil and Defense Mobilization on January 9, 1961. Executive Order 10,903, delegating authority of the President with respect to regulations relating to certain allowances and benefits to government personnel on overseas duty on January 9, 1961. Executive Order 10,904, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between certain carriers represented by the New York Harbor Carriers Conference Committee and certain of their employees on January 12, 1961, Executive Order 10,905, amendment of Executive Order 6,260 of August 28, 1933, as amended on January 14, 1961, Executive Order 10,906 inspection by certain classes of persons and state and federal government establishments of returns made in respect of certain taxes imposed by the Internal Revenue Code of 1954 on January 17, 1961. Executive Order 10,907 inspection by renegotiation Board of Income Tax returns made under the Internal Revenue Code of 1954 on January 17, 1961. Executive Order 10,908 inspection by Federal Trade Commission of income tax returns of corporations made under the Internal Revenue Code of 1954 on January 17, 1961. Executive Order 10,909 amendment of Executive Order 10,865 safeguarding classified information within industry on January 17, 1961. Executive Order 10,910 providing for the design and award of the National Medal of Science on January 17, 1961. Executive Order 10,911 inspection by Department of Commerce of income tax returns made under the Internal Revenue Code of 1954 on January 17, 1961. Executive Order 10,912 amending Executive Order 10,716 of June 17, 1957 on January 18, 1961, Executive Order 10,913 amending Executive Order 10,584 of December 18, 1954, prescribing rules and regulations relating to the administration of the Watershed Protection and Flood Prevention Act on January 18, 1961.
Lady,
Pizza, where we deliver happiness one slice at a time. What's your craving today?
Yeah, hi. Is Seymour there?
Oh, Seymour. I think he might be busy making our special pies. But hey, why not swing by the pizzeria? We've got a pie with your name on it. Anything else I can help you with?
I was looking for Seymour Butts.
I see. Well, if you're looking for Seymour Butts, he might be hiding behind a pepperoni slice. Anything else I can do for you today?
No, that's it.
Hi, I'm Terrence, a marketing professional with a passion for helping your business grow smarter and faster. Here at Da Bomb Digital Media, based right here in Atlanta, Georgia, we specialize in bringing your vision to life. Whether you're launching your first website or reimagining your entire digital presence, we've got you covered. From modern website design and search engine optimization to setting up your own AI-powered agency tools, we deliver innovative solutions that keep you ahead of the curve. Ready to unlock your business's full potential? Let's build something remarkable together. For more information, visit our YouTube channel. Just search Da Bomb Digital Media on YouTube and start exploring tips, success stories, and everything you need to elevate your brand.
ladies and gentlemen, patriot seekers of truth, welcome back. Let us turn the page to a pivotal moment in American history, the final 2 years of Dwight D. Eisenhower's presidency, 1960 and 1961. Now, by this time, Ike was a seasoned leader, not just a general or a wartime figure, but a president who had spent 8 years shaping the post-war world, and in those final years, his governance was not slowing down. In fact, some of his most foundational decisions, some of the ones still echoing today, were made right before he left office. Let us talk about the world stage in 1960 and 1961. The Cold War was no longer just a simmer, it was boiling. In 1960, the U-2 incident shook the globe. An American spy plane was shot down over Soviet territory. The summit with Khrushchev collapsed. Trust shattered. Tensions rose. Meanwhile, Africa was exploding with independence. 17 nations freed themselves from colonial rule in 1960. A new global order was emerging, and America had to respond, not just with might, but with moral clarity. Here at home, the civil rights movement was gaining momentum. Sit-ins in Greensboro, growing protests across the South, and Eisenhower, though cautious, knew that America's promise could not be delayed much longer. And let us not forget, 1960 was an election year. A young senator named John F. Kennedy was rising. The torch was being passed, but Eisenhower was not fading. He was laying final bricks in the foundation of modern governance. How did Eisenhower govern in those years? With structure, with vision, with restraint? Yes, but with purpose. He believed in systems and institutions. In continuity, he worried about the rise of unchecked power, including in the military-industrial complex, a term he famously warned us about in his 1961 farewell address. But in that same speech, he also talked about the future, about science education, responsible citizenship. He looked forward, and so should we. Now let us talk about executive orders between 1960 and his final days in January 1961. Eisenhower issued over 70 executive orders, many of which built the infrastructure of modern federal operations. Here are the top 10 executive orders from that period, not just by title, but by impact. Number 1, Executive Order 10893, Administration of the Agricultural Trade Development and Assistance Act, created international food aid and trade development mechanisms, still active in today's USAID and global partnerships. Number 2, Executive Order 10865, Safeguarding Classified Information within Industry, established the baseline for industrial security clearance and handling of classified information, still in use by contractors and agencies today. Number 3, Executive Order 10903, Delegating overseas government personnel, benefits centralized authority to manage benefits for Americans serving overseas, still vital for our foreign service and defense communities. Number 4, Executive Order 10900, Agricultural Trade Act, Reorganization, streamlined America's global food assistance efforts, which continue to combat hunger and enhance diplomacy. Number 5, Executive Order 10910, National Medal of Science, created one of the highest honors for scientists, celebrating innovation and fueling a culture of research excellence. Number 6, Executive Order 10901, Safeguarding Official Information, reinforced how the federal government protects national security information, echoed today in our cybersecurity and FOIA policies. Number 7, Executive Order 10909, Updating Industry Security Rules, strengthen protections around classified contracts, a pillar of today's defense acquisition process. Number 8, Executive Order 10899, Federal Radiation Council expansion built on radiation safety amid the Cold War arms race, shaping nuclear policy and environmental safeguards that protect us. Now, number 9, Executive Order 10904, Emergency Board on Labor Dispute, handled a critical maritime labor dispute, Eisenhower stepping in to protect commerce and stability through arbitration. Number 10, Executive Order 10913, Watershed Protection Act, Rules Update, reinforced environmental regulation tied to flood prevention, echoing in today's FEMA climate and agriculture initiatives. So, what does this all mean for us? The Eisenhower presidency did not end with a whimper. It ended with architecture, bureaucratic architecture, strategic foresight, and a clear warning. Beware of the unchecked powers we build and cherish the democracy we share. Many of the systems we rely on today, from disaster response to space exploration, food aid to information security, were either initiated or solidified in these final 2 years. Eisenhower's calm, structured leadership gave us tools. It is our job as leaders and citizens to use those tools wisely. And with that, let us jump into the executive orders themselves, one by one, from January to January, 1960 through 1961. Stay tuned, truth seekers. The ink Eisenhower laid down still speaks.
Ladies and gentlemen, truth seekers, history lovers, let us take a breath and reflect on the second term of the 34th President of the United States, Dwight David Eisenhower. Now, by the time Ike began his second term in 1957, he was no longer just the general who led the Allies to victory. He was the president who now had to guide America through one of the most volatile, transformative, and demanding periods of the 20th century. His first term had been marked by calm strength, infrastructure, and economic boom. But this second term, this one tested everything. Let's start at home, civil rights. The winds of change were blowing strong, and Eisenhower, though measured, could no longer remain on the sidelines. It was under his leadership that troops were sent to Little Rock, Arkansas. to enforce the Supreme Court's decision to desegregate public schools. It was not just a moment of law, it was a moment of principle, and Eisenhower knew federal authority had to stand firm against state defiance. He also signed the Civil Rights Act of 1957, the first such legislation since Reconstruction. Now, was it perfect? No. But it cracked the door open and gave momentum to a movement that would not be denied. Domestic affairs. At home, America was growing. Fast highways were stretching across the country. Suburbs were booming. Technology was racing ahead, and Eisenhower embraced modernization, but he did not do it recklessly. He warned of deficit spending. He kept a tight rein on the budget. And most famously, he cautioned us all about the military-industrial complex, a term born in his farewell address and still echoing in every defense contract and foreign engagement we debate today: global affairs globally. The Cold War was in full swing, and Eisenhower approached it with calm caution and calculation. He avoided major wars, he expanded nuclear deterrence, and launched NASA, laying the groundwork for the space race after the shock of Sputnik. He also saw the world changing. Africa was rising with independence. The Middle East was flaring. Latin America was shifting. And in each arena, Eisenhower chose diplomacy, alliances, and American strength rooted in restraint. Major events. Let's not forget the big moments. The launch of Sputnik and America's response through science and education. The admission of Alaska and Hawaii as the 49th and 50th states, giving us the stars and stripes we know today. The U-2 incident in 1960, when an American spy plane was shot down over Soviet airspace, crippling trust and collapsing a critical summit with Khrushchev, and the election of John F. Kennedy, a young senator who would inherit the world Eisenhower helped shape. Through all of this, Eisenhower remained what he always was: a man of duty, of order, of balance. He didn't chase headlines, he built frameworks, he didn't inflame passions, he steadied the helm. And while critics say he didn't do enough for civil rights, or that he moved too cautiously, one thing is clear: Eisenhower left America stronger, more stable, and more prepared for the storms ahead. His second term was not dramatic, but it was decisive. It was the work of a man who believed in the quiet power of responsibility, of honor, of the long game. And as we look back, we see a presidency that shaped the architecture of the modern American state. One executive order, one decision, one act of restraint at a time. This was Eisenhower's second term. Not loud, but lasting. Not fast, but foundational. And that, my friends, is leadership. We would do well to remember. Stay sharp, stay truthful, and stay tuned. Because history always has more to say. Some write history with blood, some with laws. But the sharpest stroke comes from the pen. Executive power ain't just a tool. It's a weapon wielded by the few, affecting the many. They sign it, we live it. They order it, we obey it. Here, watching, digging, remembering. From the plantation to the proclamation, from internment camps to civil rights stands, from surveillance laws to student loan draws. Order can change your life, and you might not even know it, but now you do. So stay locked in, stay woke, stay sharp. We ain't just talking about power, we tracking it. Executive Order Watch, and we ain't blinking.